Thank you so much. And I do have to say, my husband went to Michigan State as well, so it's really awkward when they play the Ducks. Other than that, it all works out. I appreciate this panel, and thanks for the witnesses, especially y'all from the West Coast for traveling all this way. I've met with many of you and your tribal leadership on many occasions to discuss the importance of forest management, now certainly in Central and Southwest Oregon, but also across the West. I think, Mr. Redenberg, you could talk about what the Cow Creek tribe lost 10,000 acres last year because of a fire that started on federal lands. And again, 99% of BLM forest lands are in Oregon. And then we have this patchwork set of management. So even if you're managing your property, your lands, you can't stop the fire from coming over. So having consistency in land management would be, it would be a blessing. But I think specifically, I'll ask you and anyone else that wants to come in to discuss the challenges you're currently facing, preventing you from doing the co-management work, and then maybe touch on how the timber receipts work or don't work in getting those back. I know we lost 5 mills in my district last year, so having some consistency in supply, also, preserving old growth, we can do both at the same time.
First, thank you for your kind introduction earlier. We can have both. As other panelists stated, this is oftentimes the logs are the outcome. It's as we apply an approach through the Indigenous lens, as we focus on the outcomes rather than how we get there, it really leads us in a different approach. And that's the rub, is I'm trying to formulate. It's a tough question. We look at tribal management and it works really well. It's beautiful. It's getting the work done. And so we invite tribes into the federal land space to do that work, but we haven't changed any of the rules that are causing the federal agencies to fail, and so that's a rub. It's not only a different philosophy and approach to conservation, where tribes are more proactive stewardship kind of style. It's the barriers that have hindered the Forest Service, for decades now, are still there. We haven't addressed those. So that's what this bill really addresses.
Yep.
You pointing at me?
Yes, I'm pointing. I'm trying to
okay.
Either one of you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So regarding the tribal side of the challenges with co-management, there's a couple issues. Number one is limited capacity on both sides to sustain complex agreements. Fragmented funding makes long-term planning quite difficult. Lack of familiarity with existing tools such as the Tribal Forest Protection Act and the Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act. Those are barriers. And finally, delayed and inconsistent agency engagement, particularly with staff turnover.
Not much to add to that, but to maybe give where there's positive examples around the country, it's where there's that consistent source of funding and staffing so that those relationships get built and maintained through time. Because it seems like where there's a personal trust between both agency staff and tribal staff, we seem to be getting good work done on the ground.
I would agree with that. And I'd like to thank Representative Huffman, Representative Hurd, and Chairman Westerman for their work on today's bill to address these challenges. And what I want more than anything is for us to be able to get this going in the next year, so it's not just something that we're talking about at a committee while we're contemplating what could be. We actually have to get this happening on the ground because we don't have the capacity to deal with wildfire right now, and I think this is an elegant solution.
Before you yield, Ms. Clark, did you want to respond to the question that Ms. Hoyle?
Thank you. I'll just add one thing briefly. You spoke about the need for cross-boundary work, and I wanted to highlight that in the Forest Act, I think that's one of its key benefits, is that it allows for cross-boundary planning between tribal trust lands, reservation lands, and lands that are administered by federal agencies in a way that, frankly, we don't have in any of our existing statutory authorities. And so I think that's a huge benefit, and one of the things that we really do struggle with, because fire, forest health doesn't know boundaries.
Thank you so much.
Gentlelady's time has expired.